Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the final hour of this week's episode of the Long Voyage. The former part ended with a very, very serious conversation between Ylva and Frodi, obviously, and some excellent role playing, obviously, for that reason. But it is, unless anybody has anything else they want to do, we're going to move forward to the next day.
That's fine.
Yep.
Right. Well.
Oh, just a note. I think after this, Frodi will get hammered.
Yes.
Ylva will go back and sing songs she actually knows the entire melody for.
Yeah.
It'll be grand.
So.
And then she'll carry Frodi off to bed.
Yes. So we are moving forward to the next day, and of course, Ting starts early. In fact, the very first rites involved in the whole Ting process takes place at sunrise. But the proceedings don't start just that early, because religious rituals and so on need to take place first, and all manner of blessings have to be carried out by various priesthoods and so on and so forth. It takes forever and a bloody day. But eventually, somewhere up during the mid-morning or thereabouts, it looks like all the various blessings have taken place, and all the waiting anxiously for something to happen emotions can finally come to some kind of conclusion, because then what happens is that a procession begins from the Great Hall. It's accompanied by drums and some and horns, and a group of 20 battle maidens, all wearing black cloaks, are basically 10 on either side, 10 left-handers, 10 right-handers, so that they have their shields out towards the people lining the streets. They flank Gangarior as she walks out of the Great Hall, and starts moving slowly through the city and up towards Tinganes itself.
I think Ylva is yanking at Frodi's sleeve, going,
Oh, my head, Ylva.
Please be. I know. Please, try and contain your enthusiasm, Ylva.
I'm sorry, they're so awesome.
I know. Just.
Yep, and you. And she moves, as I said, relatively slowly through the city up towards the main gates, which of course eventually are opened so that she and the procession can pass through it. And they move up over the grassy fields that make up the surface of Tinganes to the all the way up basically to the tip of the promontory, where a collection of flat stones are placed, and once there, she walks out in front of the procession, turns around and sits down on these stones, and they function quite well as a seat for her, simply because by sheer dint of her of her height, she's so tall that these stones fit. For anyone else, it would probably be a very uncomfortable seat. For her, it seems to fit quite nicely. And she looks to a priest who stands next to where she's sitting. It's a priest of the Lord of War, and she nods to him, and he raises his hands, and everybody is supposed to go quiet at that point, which people do, but I mean, obviously it's not instant because everybody needs to really realize that is what is happening.
This
Yes,
is
of
not
course.
instant because this is not the Lotus Empire.
Also, of course, because this happens at any solemn occasion, there's always going to be that one baby or toddler that's sort of yowling in the background because they don't know any better.
Yeah, obviously. Can't
Because
be avoided.
you can never go to a wedding or a funeral or any major event without that happening.
Nope. And so everybody waits for a little while until, things are quiet. And then Gangrior, she doesn't even stand up. She just, she remains seated where she is, and she just raises her voice and declares for all and sundry that Ting is hereby commenced, that all the usual rules apply, that Ting is sacrosanct, and that anyone who sheds blood during the proceedings of Ting outside a sanctioned fighting arena for the contests will forfeit their freedoms and their lives, and that consequently these are basically the rules. The point is, Ting rules are so ingrained that people tend to understand them even if they aren't spelled out in minute detail every time. Basically, it's a matter of don't kill anyone. You're not allowed, sort of thing.
I mean,
and of course, they also repeat the whole thing that freeborn men have a right to speak and vote. Freeborn women cannot vote, but they can speak if they request it. Those are the rules, and that's pretty much it. You all know that it's commonplace for a village to agree in advance, what are we going to vote on, this, and this, and then they send maybe 3 or 4 people at most, maybe even just 1 or 2, off to Ting, and then they will vote for the entire village, and this is accepted. This is perfectly all right. They're then supposed to basically say, well, we are so and so many freeborn men with the right to vote in our village, and people are honest about how many people live in their villages, because if they're not, their ass is grass and Gangarior is the lawnmower. So people don't lie about that. It's way too risky to do, and
yeah, there will always be someone who knows the exact count of that village anyway.
yeah, exactly.
So it's very dangerous.
Yes, because the neighboring village will know about it if nothing else, and they were like, where did those last 50 people come from,
Especially if they're not agreeing on said thing.
Yeah. So, and often they won't, because often small villages' grievances will specifically be with their neighboring villages. Usually. So yeah. Thing rules are laid out, or Ting rules are laid out like that. It takes a little while. It's not particularly lengthy, and then she basically holds up a hand and says, and by this I declare the deliberations open. Anybody can speak. Anybody can request time in front of the entire assembly. By all means, conduct your business. And she lowers her hand, and the moment she does so, people start turning to those standing next to them, and they start talking, because for the most part, most of these little things that they need fixed will just be handled between people without needing a great big vote from everyone. It's only if things get too bogged down and too complicated, or if it's a really, really important decision that needs to be made, then it'll be brought up for a general vote. And obviously you guys, or at least Captain Ormer, has something incredibly important that he needs to bring up, but he doesn't start off doing so the very first thing in the morning. He lets people get started, and maybe about half of the day passes because and nobody requests the attention of the entire thing in during the first maybe half day, because everyone is just getting used to how things are going and so on. But after about half of a day has gone by, you all hear suddenly a horn blaring loudly. It's a known sign or a gesture for everyone to, shut up and pay attention right now, sort of thing. And as you turn around, you can see that Captain Ormer is standing up by the he is standing by the stone seat. And the point is, when this happens, everyone is supposed to shut up, because he needs to be able to be heard by everyone. And a bald woman steps up next to him. She has... You can see from where you're standing, you're fairly close by, all of you, because you're part of his crew. But you can see she's got wild eyes, and the blood vessels in her head are really, really noticeable. There's no question that she's a side maker, but she's someone who has paid a fairly heavy price for her abilities. And she walks up to the captain and puts a hand on his shoulder. Frothy, you can roll an intelligence plus majory test.
Alright, I'll roll an intelligence, and my majory adds 2 to that.
Yes. Alright, you have no problem. Yeah, she's definitely using some kind of magic. And when the captain speaks up, his voice is loud enough to carry. Despite there being tens of thousands of people here, everybody will be able to hear what he says. And
neat trick.
It is a pretty neat trick. And he clears his throat. The point is, Ormer is still just... he's not... he's an adult by Southlander standards, but he's still just a big boy, really. He's in, 17 or thereabouts? He's a kid.
Yeah, he were 16 when we left.
Exactly. He's 17 now, and he's standing in front of all of his countrymen, and suddenly he has to speak to all of them at the same time, and that is a daunting prospect for anyone. So he has to clear his throat a couple of times, and he finally he raises his head fully, and he says, "For those of you who don't know who I am Ormer, and I am, for all intents and purposes, I am the Jarl of Svartalfen. You probably all know what has happened there by now. We've been gone long enough for the news to spread. My home was attacked and destroyed days before I was supposed to be married to a daughter of the Phelan clan, and at that point there's a hiss that runs through the entire assembly. It was meant to end generations of enmity between my family and theirs. We were supposed to become friends, to break bread together, eat together, laugh together, fight our wars together, side by side. And instead they chose that moment to betray the trust that we had come to share, and to attack and burn down Hirborg. There's nothing left of my home save one ship, the Fagerferd, and the good crew that have stayed true and loyal to me throughout the entire journey that we undertook. We didn't stay put. We didn't charge heedlessly into what was needless death. We knew that if we had attacked, we would have accomplished nothing except glorious and ultimately futile ends. Instead, we decided to set out and see the world, and grow strong, and come back better prepared. And that's what we've done. But my family was destroyed. My home was burnt. My crew lost everything. Their families, their belongings, their home. They lost all of that to the Phalans and to their betrayal. So I stand here as a freeborn man, Jarl or no Jarl, a freeborn man of the Southlands, and I demand justice for what happened at Hyrborg. I demand the Phalans be made to pay. They have been such cowards that they have fled the Raven Lady's service and gone over to one of the other swords remaining in the Southlands. I say we go and take them back. We drag them by the hair all the way back here to Vananes, and we string them up over the gates, one by one by one by one. Every last one of them. This I demand. Does anybody stand against me? Does anybody contest my right to vengeance? And obviously there's a mumble going through the whole crowd, because not everyone was fully aware that he had even survived and made it back. The rumors had spread, but there were a lot of people that it needed to spread to. So not everyone was aware of this yet, but nobody speaks up to contest his rights. Not surprisingly, when the Phalans were even mentioned, the hissing and the sounds of disgust were noticeable. And Gangarior stands up and takes a moment to look across the entire gathered assembly, and then she nods to Ormer. He steps aside. She doesn't need the magic to be used for her to be heard, despite her voice being what it is. And she looks at everyone. I call a vote, she says. Whitestone is war, Blackstone is peace. And everybody who has a vote can then hand in, on behalf of themselves or their crew or their village or whatever, they hand in white or black stones, basically, and then it's tallied by the priests afterwards, and that's how it happens. So it takes a while for the vote to come in, but basically the way it is done is that people drop these stones into great big jars and urns that are placed, and it doesn't take very long for people who walk up there to drop stones into the urns to realize what the end result is going to be, because the few black stones in there are barely visible. So very, very quickly after the vote has been called, a priest walks up and whispers something to Gangarior, and she nods and looks out over the assembly again. War it is then. Everyone, once you leave Thing, you have one You have 10 days. Return to your homes. Come back here. If you live too far away for that, well, you better hurry. We're going to get even with the Phalans for this. And I'm planning on finishing off their sword once and for all in this process. The Southlands needs peace. And then at that's pretty much it. People go back to discussing their various individual situations and what they need to handle between themselves. This was simply the first what is it called? The first time where somebody requested the attention of the entire assembly. But the crew is obviously gathered pretty much together in one place. And Ormur comes over to you guys afterwards. He is pale as a sheet and he's shaking. And he stands there and he looks at all of you and goes, "That was a lot harder than I thought it would be."
You did well.
Well said, Captain.
Indeed.
I was so worried I was going to stumble over my words. Could you imagine how dumb that would have looked in front of all these people?
Being someone who's usually in that kind of situation, it doesn't kill you.
Well, no, but I do hope that we're going to kill some Phalans.
This is true.
So I needed to make the right impression.
Yeah.
So, war it is.
Yes. May it be decisive.
I think it will be. I really think it will be this time.
Yeah.
Well, Gangaria has said she wants to end the sort of strife. So it will be very decisive.
There's something quite wonderfully ironic and appropriate about killing strife in the Southlands, don't you think?
It
It's
is.
fitting.
It really is. Oh, I hope I can count on you guys when we get there. I'm pretty sure there will be more. Well, there will be more jobs to do.
Of course you can count on us.
Yes.
Of course.
Even Gilfie was being very quiet.
Gilfie, what's on your mind?
The wounds that I will have to tend, I probably should stock up on stuff.
Probably a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, we always knew it was going to come to this at some point.
We did we?
Something had to. Something had to happen.
That it did, Captain.
So boys, wanna train with me?
That sounds smart, but I still have a bit of a hangover.
I've still got to.
Yeah, I'm talking, we have for 10 days. It's fine.
In that case, yes, I would like to.
I should like to prepare for and train for the upcoming contest.
Same.
Yeah, he looks at all of you. Have you all signed up for something, or is it just these two?
I don't know what I would sign up for.
You'd always try and see if there's a drinking contest.
There are contests. There are contests aside.
What
I
do
never
those
knew.
entail?
Usually destroying things.
I mean, what other form of scyther do we care for in the Southlands?
Prophecy.
Okay, fair enough. But aside from that, aside from knowing what, okay,
Healing?
so we know we like to destroy things. We like to know what things we're going to destroy, and we like to know what things we shouldn't have destroyed and what to repair afterwards.
Pretty much.
Well said.
You know
Well
what?
said.
I think I will enter into a competition.
Sure.
It's going to be... Yes.
It'll do you some good, I think. I'm sure you'll.
I think I entered everything that doesn't have with bows or side making to do.
I mean, if you entered the scythe contest, although you probably still win, you probably have to intimidate everyone else into not be doing anything.
Not me.
No.
But
Hey, I could scare a competition away.
I'm fairly certain I can do that myself.
Obviously.
I should go, so that I'm not left out.
Woohoo! So you're going to use your magic, are you? That sounds like a splendid idea.
Oh dear God, no.
So he mutters to himself, "Shut up or I'll drink the water."
Aww. What have I done to deserve such scorn?
You exist.
You make me feel unwelcome.
You are.
It begins to sob.
You
Loudly.
should have just drunk the water the second it started talking again. Like, yeah, I told you.
If he does that, he's gonna
He
run
does
out.
now. No, it's refillable as far as I
Ah, okay.
understand. It's the gourd itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ilva
Yeah.
looks at Ormer. Have you signed up for stuff?
To be honest with you, he says, I haven't actually given that any thought. I've been so hung up on having to give this speech that
And what
I
about
haven't...
now?
You know what? Why not? I could sign up for one of the running contests.
Yes.
Doesn't run go on health?
Yes.
If you need that extra bit of inspiration for that, Captain, you can just imagine that we're back on the plains and that you're running from all the horrors that exist therein.
Ugh.
Well, it's a good motivator, isn't it?
I suppose so. Ugh.
Yeah, alright. Maybe.
Careful, he ended up just trying to paddle his way away from
Oh,
it because
by-
he's
by-
then thinks we're on the ship.
By the way, guys, just so that you all know, I would heartily recommend not going near the singing contests.
Going to the what contest?
The singing competition.
Please
But
don't.
I
tell me.
already signed up.
Vabrander is signed up.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, God.
I mean,
It's too late to retract my name now.
Well,
Aww.
People don't turn up for whatever reason for the contest. They're just, if you don't turn up, you're just, withdrawn. You're probably going to have to, because several of the contests that you're signed up for are going to overlap. So
Well, I either figured I'd go far or I'd be beaten out pretty quickly.
well, I think you've got a good chance in most of them. So
We'll see. We'll see.
we'll see. Definitely, it'll all be.
Won't they have the schedule up during today?
Not really. It's mostly a matter of be there when your name is called,
Okay.
which makes it a little difficult if your name is called in several places at the same time. This is typically why people only sign up for two or one or two of these contests.
I think I'm signed up for 4.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you'll see. Maybe you'll manage to make it to make it to all of them, but if not, just decide which ones you want to make the most effort on.
Yeah.
Right? he says, I think I'd better go and sign up for that long distance running.
Yes.
Yeah. Good luck on it.
Thank you. You too. All of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Thank you.
So, basically, which ones do you want to focus on the most, Ylva?
Well, I still don't know what they're called.
No, but you know that there are some. You have some idea of what you've signed up for, I'm sure.
Something where she can use her hammer.
Yes.
You know, strength basically and fighting.
Yep. Holmgang. Yeah.
And Gleamer, because
Yes.
she knows how to do that.
Yep.
And singing, because she knows how to do that.
Yes. Right. And which two of those do you think she would focus the most on?
Probably the battling one.
Yeah. So Glima and using Glima and single combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Is it what?
As I say, is it possible to actually do first blood combat with like a big hammer? Wouldn't that be somewhat lethal in any capacity?
She's expected to hold her blows.
Yeah, of course.
If she can't control the hammer enough to just mark a blow, and maybe scratch someone with it, then she shouldn't have entered. That's
Fair
the way.
Oh, she knows how to control it.
Yep, that's.
She has both the technique and the strength.
Yeah, exactly.
She knows exactly how to control the hammer.
So,
That's good.
yeah, that is
I
basically.
mean, that is why she both have the strengths and the tons of skill points in it.
And the I think. Let's see. What you have. What is your strength and your skill at Glima and your strength and your dex, your skill at Glima and your skill with your hammer?
What?
Your strength and your dex, and how much skill do you have with Glima and with the hammer?
Her strength is 16.
Yep.
She has the extra striking strength.
Yep.
And her dex is 11.
Yep.
Her skill with Gleamer is 15.
Yep.
Her skill with two-handed mace is 18.
18, yeah. Right. So I would say you make it to the final 4 with the hammer. With the mace. You make it to the final 4 before you run up against a huntsman.
Oh.
Oh, that's probably why she ends up.
She does end up losing to him, but there is no dishonor in losing to a huntsman.
No, was that in Gleamer?
No, that was with the hammer.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is because it is a first blood match, and he's simply quicker than you.
Yeah.
So he.
No, the second he stepped on, it's not the oh my god, he's a huntsman. It's the oh, I'm so gonna wipe you all over the floor.
And then unfortunately, he manages he dodges her first blow and then manages to lay a very shallow cut on her arm with his sword. So
Yeah.
you lose there, but you're you are recognized as one of the 4 best warriors in the Southlands this year. That's something.
She does make a you're bloody quick.
he pats you on the shoulder and says, well, if you ever get sick and tired of sailing with Ormer, then remember, I might have a spot on my crew for someone like you.
That's
She makes
an honor.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then she stops her thought process. I'll have to think about it.
You do that. You do that. He's an honorable man.
She nods.
He offers you like a warrior's handshake, the whole grabbing the lower arm thing.
Yeah, she does that.
Yeah. And
If anything-
people cheer because you have been, you've made it this far, and they're very, very impressed. Unfortunately for you, you are knocked out of the Gleamer contest a little bit earlier, and you are in fact knocked out by Yangather, but that's not necessarily a
That's
bad
fair.
thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because it means you actually have a chance of staying in the singing contest if you still want to do that.
Sure.
And that takes you to the finals, because your singing voice is bloody amazing. So let me have 3 skill rolls on singing.
Her health is 14. The rest is skills.
Let me see the 3 skill rolls for singing.
3. All right.
Yes. There.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. You do so well on the first 2 songs, and the final one, unfortunately not. So you end up in second place there.
Aww.
Actually, no. Let me check something here. Let me
Well,
let me be absolutely fair to you here, and I will do this.
do what?
There's a critical success and no failures in that, so that
Aww.
you end up in second place, but again, nobody
She probably didn't really know the song.
nobody can really remember the last time anyone has placed 4th in one and 2nd in another contest. So you are pretty much the star of the you're the star of the contest here. Let's see with the let's see it with Sindri next. What was
Okay.
your dex and your skill with the bow?
My dex and my skill. Dexterity of 11 and bow skill of 18.
Right. That must have cost a fortune in points.
Probably. Yes, I've 28 points put into the bow.
Wow.
Yes. I've been working on it very, very much, very hard since I.
Yeah. Well, let's see let's see 5 rolls on the bow, please.
5 rolls. Good grief.
Yeah, you
Okay.
shoot 5 arrows
Okay.
in the final round, and there are more than 2 people in the final round, so let me see.
Okay.
Yep, you hit on all of yours. And I'm going to roll one of these. Good. You're up against 3 people with a realistic chance of beating you, so
Okay.
let's see. That's a lot of rolls I need to make, but I'm sure we'll manage.
I'm sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, there's a crit.
Fucking hell. Yeah, that's already.
And let's see, one more for the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He gets a critical as well.
7s aren't criticals. So those are just hits, and the last one.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, there's a crit. 5. Good. They all hit their rolls. So basically, what happens is you're all given 2 more arrows with which to hit.
Okay.
Let's see.
Go, Sindri!
Mm-hmm. It'd be awkward if you said that right at the moment I'm about to loose and I end up going wide, but let's see what happens.
Hits, and it hits.
Both 13.
Both
Dear
hits. Let's see the first one. He misses, so he's out.
Second one?
The second one. He hits on both of his. There we go. So there are 3
Okay.
people left in the contest, and you are basically told to shoot 1 arrow until somebody misses.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go, Cedric!
Okay.
Woohoo!
8.
He
Question.
hits. And he hits. Yes?
Yep.
When you had a skill of 18, what were the crit range then?
4, 5, and 6. You can't crit on 7 or 8 because 17 and 18 are always misses. And
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Hit again.
So hit again, and let's see.
We could be here all day.
We could be here all day. Go on. Roll again. 9, 12, and 11. Yep. Basically the point here is that you keep shooting for quite a while, and eventually what someone calls out is move the target,
Mm-hmm.
and the priests that oversee this particular contest turns up to the 3 of you and says that seems to be a fair solution because you're all equally skilled, obviously. So they're going to move the target further out, which is going to give you a significant penalty to hit.
Okay.
So they
Do
move.
it.
Sorry, what?
Do it.
They move it out enough that you get a -4 to hit. It's a very long distance shot that they're basically telling you to make.
Weren't the bow from the Lotus Empire made to shoot long though?
It's made to shoot hard more than long, but
Okay.
The point is that if the priests or anyone else feels that my having this bow puts me in
and people use their own weapons. They don't get involved in what weapons those are.
Okay. Oh, that's it. That's the miss.
Aww.
That's the miss.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
So
out.
you're out in a 3rd place, which is still obviously considered extremely impressive, especially seeing as this was such a close run thing.
Yes.
So you end up in 3rd place, and overall, it has to be said that the crew of the Fagerfeld has made a very, very good showing of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yep.
I think when they meet up again,
Yep.
Everyone will smile widely. Well, Youngada kicked me out of Gleamer, so I still made it to the singing contest.
Yes, you did.
Then it just leaves me.
Yay!
It does.
Brody, go!
Let's see. Basically, what happens here is, because obviously there are so many different kinds of magic, and destructive magic as well, for that matter.
Mm.
So this is a slightly different kind of contest where you are given a period of time in which to set up a showing of your capabilities.
I
And
see.
and you are then told to involve a priest. You explain what you want to do to a priest, so that basically, even though you are not number 1, you're not the first person to show your thing, you are expected to stay with your original plan. So you can't modify your ideas based on what the competitors who go before you are doing, because that will give you an unfair advantage,
Obviously.
and so you have an area of about 20 by 20 meters, 20 paces in each direction, and you can set up items or leave it bare, or whatever it is you want to do. You can set up training dummies, you can set up barrels, or whatever it is you want.
I see. Looking at Throaty's magic, I'm probably going to have to go with a fire show.
That sounds reasonable.
Can this area be dimly lit?
Oh yes, they can ensure that you go on as one of the last, so that it'll be early evening, and therefore it'll be it won't be dark, but it'll be dusk, so to say.
Okay. Because then he could, I think he sets up 4 target dummies.
Yes.
And a unlit brazier in the middle.
Oh, right. Yes.
And then he's basically going to have to initially ignite it with flare. It's going to come down to flare for him because
Yes.
this is fire magic, and I mean he could use animal senses, but people wouldn't notice that. So.
No, exactly.
So it's going to be initially, a show of him using shape fire primarily
Yes.
to do all sorts of things, probably shaping it like things he's seen on his journeys, actually.
Right.
To do a whole big fire show, and then he'll end it. For the big finale, he'll have the fire crash down on 2 dummies while shooting the other 2 in rapid succession with the fire.
Oh, right. Cool. Very cool, actually. Yes. Well, we need some rolls for your. Obviously, you need to use the magic, so
Of course.
we need some rolls.
What do you need?
Well, you're using the spells specifically, so
In that case, I'll use Ignite Fire, or is it Create Fire? Nah, whatever. Ignite Fire, Shape Fire, and 2 fireballs. How does
Yes.
that sound?
yes, that sounds
Ooh,
fine.
remember your skull lady.
Definitely. Doing something like this, I would love to be able to initially draw on the Skull Lady.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what? I think he'll use the branch also,
Yeah.
not to actually use them for anything, but like a staff to.
Oh
to
yeah, to
direct.
flourish, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Sure. Yep, that's fine. That's fine too. Ooh,
That's right
close,
on.
but it's fine. Oy, and that looks good too. And then here's what happens. You hear, as all of this, you go through your routine, and it's working. It's tough going. But if one of the fireballs is close to missing, but you manage. And people are impressed because fire magic is always popular. It looks, spectacular, obviously, and you've specifically asked for it to be when there isn't too much light, so it's even brighter. And you have a further advantage in that the guy who came before you was basically splitting the earth and crushing things, which is impressive, but it's difficult to see if you're not up really close and in a throng of spectators. All they can hear is a vague rumble, and then it's like, eh. So you have an advantage in that you're following someone like that. But what happens is, in the back of your mind, as you're doing this, and as you're using, one thing you notice, by the way, is when you use the skull, of course you draw energy from that, and you notice that there's almost like a glow to the skull, a sickly green glow that comes from within it. But at this and then again, people just think this is part of the show, obviously, so they're all ooh ah ooh, and then as your final fireball strikes, you can hear a voice in the back of your head going, you haven't been very nice to me. I think I'm gonna play a prank on you.
I think.
Sorry,
you have to repeat
what?
that.
You can just hear a voice in the back of your head going, I don't think you've been very nice to me lately. I'm gonna play a prank on you.
Can I roll to resist?
You can try.
What would that be?
That would be will.
Let's see if I'm any good at that. Nope. But I did roll a 4.
You manage? Good. Then what happens to you is that that's a very nice roll, definitely. What happens is you retain control, but the magic flows through you in a way you've never felt before in your life. This is not just a matter of the amount of magic, but it's a kind of magic you've never tried before. And suddenly you see everything far more keenly. It's like when you've been using your animal senses, basically. You can see everything as if it was bright daylight and not, in fact, dusk, and you having just used fire magic, which leaves you even more, night blind afterwards. Again, it's not night, but you know what I mean. But right now you can see everything completely clearly. You can hear everything completely clearly as well. You realize that everyone seems to be moving more slowly around you, for that matter. Just a little bit.
Could you tip the lamp?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
You move a little more. Everyone moves. It's like you haven't seen this in character, of course, but it for out of character, it does look like people are moving in a little bit of a slow motion manner around you. Or maybe that your movements are suddenly all that much faster, you're not quite sure. And then suddenly you can feel within you can feel an absolutely endless amount of rage and fury. Pure, raw fury. And your and as you look at your hands and at your down in front of you, everything begins to change, and you fall down on all fours. And for those of you who are watching, I wonder if everybody is watching this, of the rest
Sure,
of you.
it's evening, so all the other contests are probably over.
Yep.
What you see is he falls down on all fours, and suddenly there's a dire wolf standing there.
Nice.
Bilva cheers louder. Woohoo! Go Frony! She doesn't know this wasn't a part of his plan.
Nope.
He didn't tell the priests either.
Nope.
Nope.
Oh.
He didn't. Which means that, strictly speaking, he is getting disqualified for having done that.
Oops.
But people are very, very impressed nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I don't know what happened.
confused.
Frothy takes a while before he reverts to normal, but it does happen.
I think he's staring at his hands as he does,
Yeah.
with a big, big, big grin on his face.
Yes.
One might say a wolfish grin.
Kind of a wolfish grin, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a werewolf. He just turned into a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Body, get home.
Well, you get met by cheers, and people are literally chanting "skin changer, skin changer, skin changer" in your direction. They don't care that you just got disqualified. As far as they're concerned, you just won.
That's a good title for Furry to have, isn't it? Actually.
Skin changer?
Yeah, it's Furry Skin Changer.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
So,
I'll write that down.
Bilva joins in. Her big bro is cool.
Yep, and you can hear in the back of your mind, you can hear this. You can thank me later.
I think for once, Frody is appreciative of the little boys in his head.
Way later. Thank you now.
You could show him by laughing a bit.
Yeah, you know what? He does let out a laugh.
Yeah.
A break. I did that kind of laugh. A triumphant laugh would be the word.
Yes.
And then he hugs Ilva because she came over.
Yes. And I think on that hug and triumphant display of magic, we're going to end it for this week.
Okay.
And we shall be back. We will be back next week with more The Long Voyage. And it is, let's see, it's 3 XP for today.
Lovely.
And yep, we will see you all back next week for more of this. And yeah, it won't be that long now until this campaign is coming to an end, and we will start the next one after that. There will be a slight downtime between the 2 campaigns, but we do need to finish this one first. So from us here to those of you who are listening, we'll see you next week, and bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.